Hi everyone, I'm Aida Torosian, a certified holistic health coach. And today I will be addressing a very common question that creates a lot of confusion around it, which is gluten. So today in this next 10 minutes or even less, I will be trying to answer most of your burning questions about gluten and hopefully clear the confusion around that. But before I do so, let me go and grab my lemon water because it's morning and I haven't had my lemon squeezed warm water yet. And I'll be back. Give me a second. Let's start with the most simple question. What is gluten? Gluten is a name given to proteins found in wheat, rye, barley. Oats have a different type of protein that can act as gluten, similarly to gluten, but it's a little different. We'll talk about oats later. So gluten is needed for the grain to maintain its shape because it acts as a glue, hence the name gluten. And that is why the gluten is used in many other products rather than just the grains. So they take out the gluten from the grain and use it in sauces, in packaged foods, processed foods, in dressings, etc., so that it can act as a binding agent, as a glue. Okay, so what is the problem with gluten? Does everyone have some kind of a gluten problem or not? Not everyone has a gluten problem, but more and more people are being discovered that have some kind of a problem with gluten, and let's just go through all these three main problems that the gluten can cause, and of course we will discuss them one by one. The first one is celiac disease. Celiac disease is an autoimmune disease that reacts to even a trace amount of gluten. So let's say you have been diagnosed with a celiac disease and you have a trace amount of gluten, or you have a food that has been contaminated with gluten. Let's say you have a tomato, which is of course gluten-free, that has been sitting near your friend's pasta. Why your friend's not yours? Because you know you have a celiac disease, so you don't have pasta, because pasta is mostly made of wheat that has gluten. So your tomato was sitting near your friend's pasta and you have it. It has been contaminated with gluten and your body will start attacking itself because your body mistakenly thinks that the gluten is an external invader and your immune system will try to protect you and damage everything around gluten, and of course your intestines as well, which can cause a lot of complications, a lot of problems, difficulty with absorbing nutrients from your food. Also, it has been shown that celiac disease can be the cause of many other more challenging and complicated issues like cancer, osteoporosis, asthma, or migraines, etc. And it's said that about 3 million of people in the US only have celiac disease, but unfortunately 95% of them have not been diagnosed yet. So they might experience issues like that, digestive issues, not feeling great, feeling lethargic, weakness. The symptoms can be very, very general. So it's really hard to pinpoint whether you have celiac disease or not. So if you feel that something is not okay with you and you have checked other things, see your doctor, do a test, and fortunately a lot of doctors do a test for celiac disease. The second problem with gluten is gluten intolerance. It's not celiac disease, it's for the people who don't have celiac disease but have some kind of intolerance or reaction to gluten. I have a reaction to gluten, I have a gluten intolerance, so I really have to watch out my gluten intake. Sometimes I don't, and I bear the consequences. I don't feel great after, but I know what causes me not to feel great. So what happens is that your body just cannot digest gluten if you have a gluten intolerance, and you start maybe bloating, diarrhea, some kind of a digestive challenge, or if you are a woman in your menstruation age, you might have premenstrual syndrome or premenstrual tension, which is PMS or PMT. You might have rashes, acne, patches or dry skin, feeling just fatigued, low moods. So different symptoms that may sound general, but they can be the cause of gluten. The third main problem is addiction. What happens is that if the gluten molecule suddenly ends up in your blood system, which is possible if you have some kind of a digestive issue, for example, leaky gut. So I'm going to back up and just walk you through the process of digesting a food to make this point clear. What happens is when you eat anything, let's say you eat the gluten, It passes through your mouth, through your esophagus, it goes in your stomach, and then small intestine and large intestine, and then it's being eliminated from your body. However, if you have, let's say, a leaky gut, which means that the walls of your intestine are very thin and there are holes in them, so the food, the gluten, gets out of your gut and it enters your blood system. When it enters into your blood system, it can travel, not always, it can travel up to your brain and create addiction. I'm not going to explain you how the addiction is created in your brain. We can leave this for another topic, but just know that it has the same kind of effect like endorphins, which are our feel-good hormones, some drugs, as well as casein, which is the protein found in dairy, and sugar. So now we know that celiac disease, gluten intolerance, and addiction can be the main problems that the gluten can cause. But is it for everyone? Should everyone absolutely avoid gluten? Of course not. As I said, there is a percentage of people who react to gluten in some way, and in order to understand whether you have some kind of a reaction to gluten, the best way and probably the most effective way is to do a gluten elimination trial. So you eliminate gluten from your eating, even a trace amount of gluten, for 4 to 8 weeks to see the difference. And let's say after that, if you are feeling better, less bloated, your digestive system is working much better, you don't have again, if you're a woman in your menstruation age, you don't have premenstrual syndrome or premenstrual tension, your skin clears up, you feel more energetic, happier in general, that means that yes, gluten was affecting you. So you might as well consider living the rest of your life bearing that in mind, knowing that if you have a gluten, it's going to affect you negatively. However, if you do a trial and if you see no difference, you can go ahead and continue having whole food sources of gluten, for example, a nice whole grain bread, things that are not very processed, things that are minimally processed. But the thing with gluten is it's mostly present in foods that are super processed. We see gluten in biscuits, crackers, candies, pastries, cakes, packaged foods. So all those things are not nutritious and very nourishing for you anyway. So even if you tolerate gluten, try to limit those products, because again, it's not the gluten in them that creates the major problems, but other ingredients that we really want to look for. Watch out, not look after. You want to look after yourself and watch out for these ingredients. Yes, one more thing I forgot to mention about oats, whether oats are gluten-free or not. Oats have another types of protein that are called adenine. And adenine is not the same type of protein that are found in other grains, but it can act almost the same as gluten. However, it has been shown that many people who have celiac disease or have some kind of intolerance for gluten, they usually tolerate oats well. Make sure that the oats you buy are not contaminated with gluten, and it will say on the package, it will say that pure uncontaminated oats, so make sure you get that. Also, I got another question asking about weight gain and gluten, and I wanted to just quickly go over this. Weight gain is not caused just because of gluten, because as I said, gluten itself, it's just a binding agent, it's just a glue in some grains. However, gluten is present in many foods that are not nutritious and very nourishing for you. So that is why if you have a diet that is full of gluten, which means that it's full of probably processed foods and pastries and breads and pastas and this or that, yes, that may cause weight gain. But it's not the gluten, it's all the other ingredients also that are on this in these foods. So I hope that this was informative. I hope that I've cleared some of the confusion around this topic. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can either comment in the comment section or contact me separately with your questions. I'm going to attach a file that will make everything easier for you. So I have the list of foods or ingredients that you want to watch out if you want to try the gluten elimination trial, and the foods that have no gluten in them. So It's easy for you, it's an easy guide. Go and download it, it's free. So again, I hope you learned something today, and I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, whenever you're watching me.